Hello, how are you all? It is excellent to see you, or for you to see me. Rambleland is back. Can I get a whoop whoop? Whoop whoop. Blank Slate Media has been on the road for the last couple of months. We have been all across the Middle East, India, Southeast Asia, meeting some fantastic, wonderful people, seeing the most amazing things, having the most amazing experiences, engaging in bucket list activities. We've had a really tremendous time, but now we're back in Ireland. And it is really lovely to be back. And I will talk about our adventures a different time. But right now I'm introducing you to a gentleman called Olmo. Dutch fella. Absolute gentleman. All across the travels for the last couple of months I've been looking for people to speak to because I love talking to people. The people that walk by every street have some of the most engaging and exciting and mind-bending stories to share. And we often get caught up in celebrity gossip and what rich person did this mad activity and who's on the way to the moon next. That we tend to forget that everyday people, ordinary people, non-famous people, regularly take part in the most crazy and bizarre activities you could imagine. And people's lives are rich with information and experiences and knowledge, and if you just stop to talk to people, you can be blown away by what they have to tell you. And weirdly, across all our travels, people were very reluctant to go on camera. They'll talk to you all day off camera, but on camera they weren't so happy. So a lot of people I asked to come on camera declined, and that was very disappointing. I haven't really figured out why. Maybe it's because I'm some weird coloured hair white guy. They met them 5 minutes ago that now wants them to come and do a camera show. Yeah, that does sound actually a bit suspect. But either way, the first person to agree to come on camera with me was a gentleman called Olmo, who I have today. I had to get this fella on camera because this fella is cycling from Netherlands in Europe to Bali in Indonesia in Southeast Asia. He's cycling there. Why? I don't know. Well, I do know actually, we got into it in the podcast. But this is what I'm saying. Ordinary people do mad things all the time. And you'd never hear about it. And here's a wonderful example of exactly that. The experiences, the exploration, the knowledge that Olmo gained traveling across the world like this is totally unique. And he was so generous with his time to be able to share it with me, and now I can share it with you. There is a section in the middle where it's going to seem a bit patchy. That's because Olmo ended up in Iran, just as the Iranian drama was kicking off last year. And he encountered people that helped keep him safe. But in order to keep those people safe, we've had to take out parts of the podcast, just for peace of mind that nothing untoward happens as a result of releasing this podcast. So if you're wondering what's going on, that the conversation seems to be jumping just there in the middle, that's the why. But Olmo, super nice dude, really, really interesting. We have a lot of similarities in the way we think and the way we process information. And so I really hope you enjoyed this episode. It's been so long since I've done a Rambleland. I've really missed doing Ramblelands. And I will continue to do Ramblelands over the months and years of my life for as long as I'm able to. But they'll be entirely time dependent. I do have one other episode in the chamber from another lovely fella that I got to talk to the day after Olmo. And I'm working on getting that episode out. But right now, we have Rambleland episode 19 with Olmo.
How long have you been doing this podcast?
2 years.
2 years.
So I started during COVID when there was all this free time. And if that's going to annoy you, I can turn it back the other way. Excellent.
Oh, said and done.
So I started doing the podcasts. COVID, during our lockdown, we had loads of free time. And I always enjoyed the free form, long flow conversations. And I happen to know a lot of mad people. And I was like, so many of these people would be excellent on a podcast. So I was like, look, I have all this free time. I have to try it. If I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it.
Yeah.
So I started doing it during the lockdown in COVID, and as a result, I was able to work 3 days and then 4 days off. Now, obviously, during the full lockdown, there was no work. And then we moved into shop security, and so I did have a few days. But a podcast will take from finding the guest, well, actually, that aside, from sitting down recording to editing, finalising it and putting it up is about 4 days. Full days.
Oh, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's flipping so much.
I think it's a lot of work then.
There is an easier way to do a lot of it, but I don't have either technology or the skill to be able to do it. So everything has to be slow and manually done.
Yeah.
And
like for example, my video file and my audio file were two separate things.
Yeah.
And they don't over synchronize, and so they could be unsynchronized throughout the podcast.
Yeah.
And so it all has to be patched together,
Do you use
piece by piece.
Do you use Adobe Premiere Pro? Or?
No, I use Final Cut Pro on Mac. So
I'm not experienced with it.
So I was doing the podcast up until things got back open again. When things fully opened and I was back work 6-7 days a week, I had to stop the podcast. But I kept chipping away on the videos. Now I took a year away from all the social media, and I actually only went back in November just to see how it would affect my mood, how it would affect friendships, how it would affect a lot of things, because I was fed up with social media.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see how a period of abstinence would affect it.
Yeah.
And it didn't affect, it was interesting. I didn't miss it. I did have a lot of benefits from not being on social media in terms of my mood, because I never had a problem scrolling. But what happened is I'll go on social media, I'll see something, and it would affect my mood. It would alter my mood, whatever the content was.
You compare your own situation with things you
I was
see.
never bad for comparing. Is this Dawa? Hello, Dawa. How are you, sir?
Hello.
Dawa, Olmo?
Olmo.
Olmo Dawa. This is the gentleman that owns the hotel.
Wow, nice.
Dawa, this is a lovely Dutch fella I met 2 days ago, and he is cycling from the Netherlands to Indonesia. So I wanted to get him on my podcast. So we're here recording an episode. Say hello to the people, Dawa. Say hello to the people. Yes, no, it wouldn't be... I was never bad for comparing either. What it would... I think I used to get angry that other people were behaving in ways that I disapproved of. I think there was a judgmental element that was coming through how I was viewing other people's content, which is entirely my fault. But it was enough. It's enough to ruin my mood. So that was one benefit I had from staying off the social media for a while, was I didn't have that. I could have a lovely day, open my phone, go through my Instagram messages, and I was just like, fuck. I didn't need to see that.
Fuck humanity.
Humanity, man. That was a big part of it. I went back to them but what I did miss about this social media is I missed feeling that I was having an influence. I missed creating content. I missed posting content. I missed talking about things that I cared about, recording it and putting it out there to see what other people thought of the same thing.
So you want to have like an effect on people?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Whether it's narcissism or not, I like feeling important. I like feeling heard.
It relates to that you get mad seeing other people's behavior that you disagree with, you know? Like I can understand that you have this desire to inspire people to behave differently.
Yeah.
More behave like your set of rules.
Exactly. Now that's the niche, like, because it's not that you want them to behave differently. You want them to behave like you know.
Yeah.
But going back posting again was fun. I enjoyed it, and then I get to do things like this.
Yeah.
So I'm back, and now that I have all this free time, so with Sal working with the NGO most of the day, I have time again to actually sit down, write, plan content, do videos, and then do the editing. And like going back to how much time consuming the editing is. So I have these new mics, but I couldn't get these mics to work with my camera. So, and that would have been fine if you could synchronize it and it'd be all right. But the problem was that these mics, being brand new, process the sound audio at a faster rate than the camera was. So every second to second and a half, it goes out by about a second. So every single stage has to be clipped and fitted, clipped and fitted, clipped and fitted.
But couldn't you like make the entire sound file the same length as the video file, and then it's sort of synced,
See, this is what I mean, that I'm retarded. So I have no idea how to do that. That idea never even crossed my mind. Bollocks.
I assume, like, I have some experience with editing, little. I got some in my studies, some classes, and I think you should be able to like take the sound file and say like speed it up or speed it down by some percentage, and then you just need to find the right percentage so it's the same length as your video file. I'm not sure if
Thanks
it
for
works
telling
like
me
this,
now, man.
you never
I
asked
needed
me.
this. I needed this 2 weeks ago.
You should call me.
I should have called you. Yeah, you should have called you. I didn't know you. Yeah, I didn't know you back then. That brings us into it. So, Olmo, welcome to the podcast. First of all,
Thank you.
take a second just to tell people how I met you.
It was a nice moment, actually.
It was a nice moment.
Yeah, we met on the street here, a very steep street here in Darjeeling. I had just cycled a full day, climbed from Siliguri up to Darjeeling, which is a 2,300 meters climb, which I'm kind of proud of that I did it in one day.
And let me just reiterate that. So Siliguri is about 70 kilometers away, but it's it's literally a constant climb.
Constant climb.
Of 2 kilometers, over 2 kilometers from Siliguri up. And for people that like cycle, they understand the significance of that. And for people who are not active, this is more physical exercise than you're ever going to do in your life.
Yeah.
How many hours did it take you?
6 hours, 6 and a bit of like active cycling, but I left at 6 in the morning. I arrived at 6 in the evening, so like 12 hours, the entire ride, including breaks.
How did it come that you're cycling up mountains in the Himalayas?
Well, I'm traveling with my bicycle from the Netherlands to Bali. That's the journey that I'm...
I just want to say that again, from the Netherlands to Indonesia.
Indonesia.
Bali. He's cycling from the Netherlands in Europe to Indonesia in Asia. Please continue, Olmo.
So I'm traveling together with a friend, and we basically took we draw a line over the map from the Netherlands to Bali, seeing all the countries we had to cross, checking all the countries that were safe, countries that were not safe. And India happened to be right on the route, so I'm traveling also through India. And Darjeeling is right in the north of India, like between Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh.
It's actually in a very interesting geopolitical location because it's a spit of land that belongs to India, but it was held for political reasons of its access to as its trade route access. But it's squished between Nepal, Dawa. What are the 3 countries? Nepal,
Bhutan, Bangladesh,
and China. Then up at the top. Then yeah. Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and China.
Yeah.
4 countries. 4 countries. Yes.
And that corridor is called the chicken neck.
The chicken neck.
Siliguri,
The chicken neck. Yeah, that's appropriate. So, why Netherlands to Bali?
It's a good question. When me and my friend were making the plan for this trip, we first started talking about let's do a cycle journey. And we both are people that if we want to do something, we want to do it properly, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We had never both... it's not true. My friend had some experience with traveling on a bicycle. He did like a trip from Berlin to somewhere in Spain.
Okay.
Yeah. But I had no experience whatsoever with traveling by bicycle. But we both said, okay, let's do it properly. Let's go far. How far can we go overland? You know, you have to go overland with a bicycle. We wanted to go overland. So first came up South Africa, Japan came up, South Korea, and then also Bali. And Bali...
But it's not, Bali wasn't landlocked. Like, Bali isn't connected by land from...
It's true, Bali is island, yeah. But for somehow, both me and my friend's called Malta, by the way.
Malta.
Malta.
Like the island.
Not Malta, but Malta.
Malta.
Small change.
Okay.
The E in the end, yeah.
Okay, Malta.
Yeah. So both me and Malta, we had something with Bali. Like from young age on, we both had this dream to go to Bali one time. Probably because you hear so much about it. It's this iconic travel destination. Like perfect waves. We are both interested in surfing also.
Mm-hmm.
So Bali struck us, and we just decided, okay, let's do
go to
Bali. Also because we felt like discovering Central Asia. We both had never been to Central Asia, and Malte really wanted to go back to Southeast Asia. He spent a month in Bangkok, and therefore we decided to go to Bali. Yeah.
And what was your fitness levels like before this idea came up?
Well, I think in general I'm a quite sportive person.
Okay.
I'm lucky with my body. I have good genes. Thanks, mom and dad. I cycle a lot. I'm Dutch, of course. I cycle like to my work and back, A to B in the city.
Yeah, cycling is a big part of your culture.
Yeah. I like mountain biking. I do that regularly. But apart from that, I don't really do like main sports on a tight schedule.
So you've sort of maintained you just have a level of fitness anyway.
Yeah, I always felt like I have a good fitness when it comes to cycling. Yeah, running is not my thing. If I start running, like I get a stitch after a couple of minutes and I go bad. But cycling, I always felt confident that I'm a good cyclist. Yeah.
And so outside of like cycling to work and cycling home, you wouldn't consider yourself that active?
Not really, no. Well, yeah, I have an active lifestyle. Like I like to go windsurfing when there's wind. I like to go mountain biking when there's an opportunity. But that's pretty much it when it comes to like regular sports.
And so what mileage is Netherlands to Indonesia?
I think the shortest distance would be like 15,000 kilometers. But we decided not to take the shortest route because we wanted to see everything we crossed, you know.
Yeah.
We wanted to experience the journey. We didn't want to make it a journey that was about the goal, about reaching the goal as fast as possible. Or we wanted to make the journey important. That was the goal. Not so much the goal itself, reaching Bali, but the journey itself. You know? Yeah. So when we left, we had one rule, which was we are not in a hurry.
No racing.
Yeah.
Just
no
enjoy
racing,
it as you go.
Enjoying. If we want to see things that attract us, we take a detour. We don't mind to go slow. If we want to rest, we rest. If we want to stay at a place for a week, we stay at a place for a week. You know, that was our.
Have you been tracking your mileage? Do you know how much you've clocked out at this stage?
Yeah, I track the entire journey on Polar Steps. That also keeps the distance, like the mileage. It's not completely accurate because we've been taking some bus rides, some trains. We took one flight from Iran to Mumbai, and that's all in the mileage of the Polar Steps.
So what is the mileage?
The mileage in Polar Steps, like completely, I think is now on like something like 14,000. And I think we cycled effectively like 12,000, something like that. Yeah.
That's insane. And you've never cycled professionally. You've never done big races back in Netherlands.
No.
You're an amateur cyclist that's taken on a monumental global cycle.
I guess. Yeah.
That's insane. So when did you leave?
We left 12th of March. Yeah.
12th of March, and we're now on the 13th of February 2020. So you left 2022.
Yeah.
We're now in 2023, and you're 3/4 of the way there.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're in 11 months on the road now. Yeah.
And so what countries have you hit along the way?
It's a long list by now, but I can name them all.
I've
practiced by now. We started in Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Italy, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Montenegro, Albania, North Macedonia, Greece, Turkey, Georgia, Armenia, Iran, India, Nepal, and then back to India.
My goodness. That's more countries than I've ever seen in my life.
It's 19 countries by now, yeah.
And have you travelled much before you took on this trek?
I travelled some, yeah. I had one travel to Thailand, Vietnam. I've seen a large part of Europe.
You've seen the rest of it now.
Yeah.
What's been the most beautiful place so far? Most beautiful constant landscape?
Most like beautiful landscape, picturesque, Montenegro. Yeah, beautiful country. It's tiny country, but it has so much to offer. It has a beautiful coastline with directly like huge mountains, and then land inwards. Yeah, it's very mountainous.
Mm-hmm.
There's one huge mountain range, which is just stunning, like crazy, beautiful mountains with snow and rocks and beautiful nature.
Would that be part of the Alps?
It's no, it's not the Alps anymore. No,
Okay.
it's different mountain range.
Okay.
Yeah,
My Europe geography wouldn't be.
yeah. No, the Alps they go to up to Austria, like eastwards, and then within Austria, Slovenia also is still Alps, but then you have Bosnia and Croatia between Montenegro. Montenegro has its own sort of mountain range.
And how do you find where you're going to stay each time?
We just cycle until we feel like we've had enough for the day,
Uh-huh.
and then we start sort of scanning for camping spots.
So you're camping as you're going.
Yeah, I think like 95% of the nights we spend in our tent. Yeah, something like that.
Wow.
Only in cities, if we cross cities, then we take a hostel.
So you're really cutting down costs there by being able to just pitch a tent wherever you go.
Yeah.
But then that also allows you to be able to sleep in the most beautiful places.
Yeah.
Wake up with just the most magnificent scenes in the morning.
Yeah, we've had some really nice camping spots. Also some really shitty ones. You know, some days it's already dark. You need to find a place, and then you end up finding some place underneath the electric mast or something. You know, weird places, very random places.
What is the most random? What's been the craziest experience so far?
Sleeping wise.
Yeah,
Okay.
sleeping wise.
Sleeping wise. Good question. I always hate these questions because then I have to choose like the most.
Give me a few.
Yeah, we had one that I just mentioned underneath the electric mast. That was interesting. It's hard to recall moments.
Especially because you've had so many of them. Like you've 11 months of nights sleeping in tents.
Yeah,
How do you pick out of all that?
exactly.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's been the craziest country though?
Craziest country, India, definitely.
Seriously?
Yeah. India is crazy. Yeah, there's some really crazy places. Yeah.
In what way?
Like for me, the craziest experience was in Varanasi in India.
Varanasi, is that South
Varanasi.
India?
No, it's up north. Yeah, central north. It's like 100 kilometers underneath Nepal.
Oh, so crazy about that.
It's a holy city.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's one of the most holy cities in India, I believe.
Okay.
So it attracts thousands of people from all over India. Every night there are ceremonies at the Ganges River.
Mhm.
It's just packed with people. There are religious ceremonies going on everywhere in the city, and the old town is this maze, this labyrinth of tiny streets with bicycles coming by, dogs, cow shit everywhere, tons of people, tiny stores, food shops everywhere, street food. Above your head, monkeys. They rule sort of
Constantly,
the
The
buildings.
second stories, yeah.
Monkeys, and the craziest part of the city is the burning chat. It's a burning chat.
Okay.
God.
What's it called?
G-H-E-T, God.
Chat.
God.
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 G-H-E-T, yeah.
Ah, yeah, burning God. Thanks for.
Right, because Varanasi is a Hindu very Hindu and religious.
Hindu religious festival. Okay.
Yeah.
Very acclimated. You consider yourself to be very fortunate if you have been cremated in Varanasi.
How do you get cremated?
When people die, they burn.
Do they burn it like all year round, or is it just a particular time of the year?
No. Anybody can die, Hindu.
Uh-huh.
But if they are burnt in Varanasi,
Yeah.
it's considered to be very, very,
So, like, could I die here, and then get transported up there and have my ashes burned up there?
Yeah, you can do that also.
Okay.
Not very few people do, but like.
But it's only for the fortunate people, right? If you have good karma,
Consider themselves very fortunate to die in Varanasi.
you need to have a good karma, and then you can be burnt in Varanasi, and then you go straight to, what's it called again? The Hindu heaven, the Hindu sort of paradise. There's a name. Yeah.
What do you call that?
No, never mind.
Is that where you go while you're waiting to be but is that where you go, like reincarnation, does that take place in Hinduism?
No.
Just Buddhism? Only in Buddhism, okay. So Hinduism, do they have a hell as well, or just a heaven?
Yeah, of course. Suppose if you think you are, no matter how bad you are, if you are going in Varanasi, then you have a chance of going.
Okay, so being burnt in Varanasi increases your odds.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So,
It's like a stamp of approval from the gods.
yes.
Okay. So could you not just, like, why would not everybody ask for their remains to be burned in Varanasi? Like, from everyone in India.
It's a problematic thing. The poor people, how can they travel all the way to Varanasi?
So it's a money thing.
Yeah, and then not only that, but like it's a tedious process, huh?
Okay.
Take all the body right up to Varanasi.
Yeah.
From here, there's no direct flight to Varanasi. How will you go?
By road or train?
By road again, to take a dead body.
I don't know, you can put it in a suitcase.
Mafia style.
Yeah, mafia style, exactly, in the trunk of the car. Interesting. So when you were there, it was during, like, is there festivals all year round, or is it just particular time of the year?
No, they have a lot of lighting of lamps in the evening, no?
Yeah.
Singing holy hymns
Yeah.
in the evening, no? They have.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Arati. Arati is burning that light, no? On the river.
Yeah,
Have
I
you
guess.
seen
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
They consider it very holy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They do in the evening.
And is it all year round?
Yeah?
Is
yes,
it
yes.
all year round they have these festivals?
And
Yeah.
then you see all the sadhus, no?
What's a sadhu?
It's a saint with,
Okay.
with a pot.
Okay.
Chilim, it's called chilim.
Chilim.
Plus marijuana.
Nice. The cannabis finally makes an appearance. I was watching, and actually it ties in with this conversation. There was a British man cycled from somewhere in England to Australia,
Okay.
and he was trying cannabis all the way along his route. So he's tried like cannabis in like many countries, and he says the best cannabis he tried was up in Nepal.
But I don't know. Holland is
Holland, yeah.
stopping now, cannabis now.
We
Not
have
legal, yeah, it's become illegal now.
no. It's still legal, but
No, but
in the Netherlands,
in Netherlands, yeah, Amsterdam.
as far as I know, it's
Amsterdam, your red light area, where they were,
Yeah.
it's going to be stopped. It was out in the papers a couple of days back. Very soon. Maybe when you go back home, you might see Amsterdam, the red light areas without marijuana thing, restaurants.
Seriously.
Yeah, it was just out about 5-6 days back.
Because I know there's been a lot of people campaigning to do exactly that, because they don't like that Amsterdam gets promoted for its drug and prostitution use.
yeah.
But I didn't know they're actually on the way to getting it closed down altogether.
Me neither. It's new information for me. I don't follow the news.
It's
anymore.
probably better off.
Yeah.
You can't trust the news. What's it? If you don't listen to the news, you're uninformed. If you listen to the news, you're misinformed.
Where prostitution is legal.
Yeah.
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Ireland also, it's not legal.
No.
But nobody stops you. You turn a blind eye.
Is that how it works?
Ireland is not legal. But nobody, because it's all tourism.
Yeah.
They depend on tourism only.
Brings in the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But yet you can go to prison for a very minor offence.
But not for,
Not for prostitution. Not for the jiggy.
especially marijuana is supposed to be, and drugs are very forbidden.
Well, marijuana is now legal in Thailand.
Yeah.
Yes. Yay!
Let's go there.
Legalize! Let's go.
India is illegal, but if you can get a small amount, it's okay.
Yeah, they turn a blind eye again to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this fella said the weed in Nepal is some of the best he's ever tried.
But Manali, if you talk about that, what is that? Hash.
Mm-hmm.
Manali, North India, that's supposed to be the best in the world.
Okay.
So if somebody goes there, even in the airport, first they ask you with a hippie thing, no? You are a backpacker with, looking guy who's into all this matter. No?
You look like a hippie backpacker.
If you are in if you say I come from Manali and all that, from North India,
They'll search
you
you.
are checked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And getting caught with, especially that thing is very.
You're in a lot of trouble.
Behind bars. Manali's hash is very, very inexpensive.
Oh wow.
It's in high demand all over the world.
What?
Yeah.
You just don't think of India when you think of hash or cannabis. You think of California, Netherlands,
Afghanistan also.
Morocco for hash.
Morocco, yeah.
hash,
Afghanistan more for heroin.
check, no?
Yeah, also
Manali,
hash, like
Manali,
Afghan.
okay. Manali hash.
Manali hash.
Manali. Manali. Manali is a place in
Manali hash. Okay. So how do all these people treat you? Is there many tourists when you go to these festivals, or is it just you?
You mean in Varanasi?
Yeah.
In Varanasi, there were very few like Western world tourists. Yeah, hardly anyone. Yeah, we saw.
You must have stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, definitely.
But there are a lot of tourists, but right now tourists are less in India, no?
Is that just since
After the COVID.
Just since COVID? Yeah. Yeah.
So it's, otherwise, Varanasi, yes.
Okay.
There used to be a lot of tourists.
Yeah.
So how do the locals treat you when you're wandering around the place?
They stare at you. Yeah, and especially in the more like rural areas, in like farm landscapes and small villages. If we cross those, you really feel that they had never seen like any white person before, any tourist crossing their village. So we
Sit down
feel
there if you want. Join.
we feel like an attraction most of the time because we're cycling. People are staring at us all the time. They're shouting at us. They want
Move whatever you need.
They want our attention. They want to ask us questions. They want to take selfies with us. And as soon as we stop somewhere in a village to buy some food or something, within minutes there's like a crowd gathering.
Varanasi?
No, not in Varanasi. In like more smaller villages, in rural areas. Yeah.
Rural areas of India.
All across India or all across your travel so far?
India.
Mainly India.
India, yeah. It was, yeah, only in India.
Okay.
Iran also a little bit maybe, but India mostly. There's so many people everywhere, and they're so curious, so interested, and I have the feeling they don't really know shame, and they don't really know privacy.
Yeah,
At
that
least-
is, villages are still way back.
Yeah. So yeah, they have no shame whatsoever. They come standing around you in a huge group, like 30 people around me when I'm having some food. I'm sitting there eating my food. There's a crowd staring at me. and
What is doing in the cycle? We've never seen people traveling cross countries, you can say.
Yeah.
Across countries. It's not cross country running, but across countries.
Because it's
two-wheeler, but not with no engine.
Yeah. On the
Frankly.
bike, you wouldn't be in those rural areas without having the bike.
exactly,
Because like tourists aren't going to be in those areas.
And
There's
you're traveling
buses
alone?
and stuff.
No, with a friend.
Ah,
yeah,
of course, yes.
most of the time.
So
It's
you entered India through Afghanistan?
No, we went from Netherlands to India.
Well, he cycled all across Europe, and then you got a flight from Iran into Mumbai.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. Till Iran you cycled.
Yeah,
From Europe to Iran.
yeah.
Okay. How did you enter from Turkey?
Yes, Turkey.
Yes.
Turkey, Georgia, Armenia,
Yeah.
Iran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So map, yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
So from Iran, Tehran, you flew to New Delhi.
Yeah, we wanted to cycle all the way through Iran to Pakistan, through Pakistan into India. But at the moment when we entered Iran was the same moment when the protests around the death of this girl, Amini.
So that would have been October time.
Yes, October, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you came to India and then you went to Southeast Asia then, after that? Maldives and all that? No, you went Bali.
we came to Mumbai, and then we did. We went south first with the bicycle. We went to Goa,
Bangalore?
Gokarna,
Okay.
Hampi.
Oh, Hampi, yeah.
Yeah, and then from Hampi we took a bus and a train up to Varanasi.
From Hampi to Varanasi, okay.
Yeah.
That's like from central India to...
Yeah, it was getting too hot in the south.
Ah, yeah.
I couldn't stand the climate anymore. It was. Yeah.
I want to see if we can get everyone on the camera. Let's see if we can. Can I get you to jump in?
Yeah.
And then Darren moves over, and then everyone's in. Excellent. Perfect. Tell us a little bit about Iran, because that's a pretty wild place to end up in.
Yeah, Iran was for us the first country we entered where we really felt a huge cultural difference. You know, up to Armenia. Okay, the countries were different than at home, but I could still really relate to large parts of the culture and the people. And in Iran, it was all of a sudden like different.
In what way?
First of all, the way people are dressed and the way they look. Second of all, their villages, the houses.
Mm-hmm.
The nomads in Iran.
Yeah, and you have these tiny villages that are just like built from clay and really sort of primitive.
Is it like traditional Middle Eastern square houses?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had that when we were in Jordan. Like all of Amman is just these like Lego blocks, just one on top of each other all the way up the mountains.
Yeah, exactly. And language was also a huge thing that was all of a sudden so different. Like,
did many people speak English?
No, not
Did
at all.
anyone speak English?
Not in the remote places. No, it was really hard to find people that you could speak, like, have a normal conversation with.
Mm-hmm.
Some words, some people spoke some words English, but communication was really like mostly with hand and feet.
And then feet.
Yeah.
What about the feet? How did you incorporate feet into sign language?
Yeah, sometimes you need it, sometimes you need it. Yeah. Yeah, you need your whole body to express what you need. Like if you want to buy some pasta or something, you just need to point and just show it.
All the hand actions come into play.
Yeah.
So how long were you in Iran for?
So in total we spent like 2 months.
Wow.
In Iran, but only two weeks cycling, 1.5 months sort of waiting to see how the situation there developed, hoping that it would settle down and it would be safe again to continue our journey.
Did you see any of that conflict?
One time we saw a small like protest in the city, but our friends they really helped us and they really made sure we stayed away from the city center where everything was going on. You know, the protests, the shootings.
And so when you were going around Iran, you didn't see women on their own. You didn't see like all the women wearing the hijab. Was it as you imagine Iran to be?
It was. I guess. Yeah. It was like for me. It felt really normal to be there. I didn't sense the danger also for us because it was only going on in the big cities. The rest of the country, like the largest part
business as normal.
Yeah, business as usual, basically. Yeah. But one thing you did see was, women without hijab, more and more. Yeah.
Because you actually saw more and more women not wearing the hijab as protesting.
Yes.
Oh.
Exactly. Yeah.
How did you get to be friends with people from Iran?
Yeah, there's also a funny story. We went to a festival when we crossed Turkey. Mm-hmm. Just under Istanbul, we went to a Psytrance festival, Tree of Life.
Nice.
It's very nice.
Psytrance.
My first Psytrance festival ever, but I fell in love with Psytrance.
Good.
Yeah, it was a great experience. And they were also there. Mm-hmm. And we saw each other like during the festival, but we never talked. We never met. Only afterwards, we already left, and they stopped next to us, and we chatted for 5 minutes or something. And they took pictures of us. And on my luggage is written our Instagram profile name.
Yeah.
They looked it up. They started following us. They saw that we were entering Iran. Then they wrote us a message. And we got this message, and we didn't know who this person was. We didn't remember. We didn't recall this interaction. So we were like, okay, no idea who this is, but let's go. You know, it sounds perfect.
Oh, that was lovely.
Yeah.
That was so hospitable of them to reach out and make that offer. That was really, really nice.
Hospitable, yeah.
So were you nervous during that 6 weeks when you were pretty much hiding out in Iran?
No, I wasn't actually, because as I said, I didn't feel the danger for us because we didn't get close to any of the sort of action.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, I suppose, yeah.
So for me, it felt just really normal being there. And actually, we had a great time because those people we met, they were, man, the most lovely people you can imagine. Such an incredibly warm, friendly people, and really sort of like-minded with us. Same interests, really into nature, into outdoor sports activities. So yeah, we had a great time actually there with them, being able to mountain bike, hike, do horseback riding.
You had a really nice life while you were there.
Yeah, and like deep down inside, I wanted to go also on the streets to fight for their freedom, you know, because for me it felt so unfair that for me freedom is such a normal given thing, and they don't have it.
I was watching. There's a woman in New York. She's in exile. Forgive me now, I can't remember her name. She was on Jordan Peterson's podcast there a little while ago, and she was explaining the situation in Iran. And so they had a revolution, was it in the 80s? The government that's in control now overthrew the previous government, and it's that case of, so when they overthrew the old government, they considered the old government to be cruel and harsh and dictators. And the new government was 10 times worse.
Yeah.
And so it was just interesting to see. So she's encouraging people to try and get back the old system that was in place. But what sort of, other than like how unfair the life is for the Iranians living there, what is the political idea that they're fighting against? Did they describe that to you?
I think like the government that's now in power is the Islamic State.
Yes.
And they force everyone that lives in Iran to live by the rules of the Islam, of the religion, the Islam. And those are very strict rules. And actually the majority of Iranian people, they are not Islamic. They don't believe in this religion.
Are they sort of atheistic?
No, I'm not completely sure about this, but there's many different religions, many different sort of
Beliefs.
Yeah, many different groups of people that have their own opinions and beliefs, and but everyone is forced to live according this structure of.
So what do they want?
The government?
No, the people that are protesting.
They want rights. They want freedom, because in Iran, the people in Iran, they're not allowed to have any fun. Basically, that's what they what they told us. Everything that can bring you joy in life is not allowed. So, music, you cannot listen to certain music. You cannot make certain music. Partying is forbidden. You cannot party. There's no parties.
No dancing.
Alcohol also is forbidden.
Yeah, no alcohol.
No alcohol. Yeah, and then of course the way you should dress on the streets. You're not allowed to wear no hijab for women.
So do they want? Because this is what this woman on the podcast was saying. So the ideal word is to separate church and state, to separate religion from government. So the people that are protesting, do they want to get rid of Islam altogether, or do they just want a non-religious government in charge?
Yeah, they want to separate what you say. Indeed, they want to separate the religion from the politics.
Yeah.
They want to live in a country where everyone's free to decide what you want to believe and how you want to structure your life accordingly.
So it's that separation of church and state, effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and they're fighting for their freedom to choose how to live. Because now they're forced to live within this Islamic structure, which is very limited, very...
It was interesting, though, that this family were able to travel to Turkey and then, like, go to a festival and have fun and to dance.
Yeah.
Like, I would have thought maybe the borders would have been... And even for you to get in to begin with and to get back out.
Yeah.
So are the borders not that strict, or...?
In Iran, if you want to be able to leave the country, you have to do your civil service. You have to join the war, the army, for
So
2 years, I
If
think.
you haven't done that, you can't leave.
If you choose not to do that, you cannot leave the country.
Wow.
Israel is 1 year.
Israel's 1 year, yeah.
And if you are willing to do that, you can leave the country, but only to a couple countries. I don't know exactly which ones, but Turkey is one of them.
Ah, okay, I see.
So they're free to go to Turkey, but yeah, not many more countries. And
And so for you getting in as a Westerner, did they quiz you? Did they ask you why you were there?
they welcome us like full-heartedly.
The borders, like at the passport control, when you're getting into Iran to begin with, are they suspicious of you?
No, also the it's army people there that are at the border.
Mm-hmm.
They were super friendly. They're very interested. They offered us like grapes. They asked just questions about our travel. Like, it was a very smooth border crossing. We were quite anxious.
Have you checked your phone to make sure they didn't bug you?
No. No.
Iran is a total different picture.
Yeah.
People are nice then. It's only the government that's
The people are incredibly nice. Yeah, and
putting a lot of restrictions and
and what you really notice is that the people they are aware of the reputation that the country has,
Mm-hmm.
and as soon as they see foreigners, they really try to
Improve the impression.
to change this reputation, to show that it's not true, that actually the people are super nice,
Mm-hmm.
so friendly, so welcoming. It's only like the government that are basically terrorists. And
But here's the thing, so we traveled all across the Middle East. So we did Turkey, Jordan, we touched into Israel and Egypt. And there's a disrespect towards women that is part of their culture. And we actually didn't enjoy being in these countries, particularly Egypt. Egypt was really bad. It was an open disrespect towards Sal regularly, where comments were regularly made in the street, people were regularly staring. Like everywhere you went, anything you needed to do, you had to prepare yourself before you left the hotel, because you knew it was going to be like every step of the way, men were going to be in your way, staring, pointing, whistling, passing remarks. And then we did meet a few, like in each of the countries we went, we always met at least one really, really, really nice local who says he's trying to do his best to improve the image, and you can recognize that. But in countries that weren't under an Islamic dictatorship like Egypt and, well, not as extreme as Iran and Jordan, the people there were disrespectful towards white people, first of all, and really disrespectful towards white women.
Yeah.
So how is Iran? You've got very good things to say about the Iranians.
yeah,
Well, I don't have very much good things to say about the Middle Eastern people.
I guess there's a big difference then between the
Which is interesting that in the more extreme regime, the people are nicer than in the more liberal and more free.
yeah.
Now, I wonder if you had a female with you, a white female, how would have been slightly different for your experience?
I don't know. I cannot say. Maybe.
So after Iran, you flew straight to Mumbai. You what? You put your bike in your pocket? You brought the little box, biked it up, boxed up the bike, brought it to Mumbai, and you jumped back on the bike in Mumbai. And which way did you go? Did you go down then, down south?
Yeah, down south from Mumbai. Yeah.
Because we had planned to go to Goa and to see the south, because it's meant to be very, very beautiful.
It's very nice. Yeah.
So is it as beautiful as people say it is?
I really liked it. Yeah, it's a hilly landscape
Mm-hmm.
and very tropical, like tropical jungle, plants, trees, and then beautiful beaches. The further south you get from Mumbai, the more beautiful the beaches get.
Mm-hmm.
In Mumbai, it's very dirty. The sea is very dirty.
It's really bad.
Yeah, and the further you go down south, you see it sort of clearing up. The seawater itself becomes more and more clear.
Because that is exactly my concern, is that people tell you it's beautiful down south, and then you look at the ocean, you're like, but what if it's that ocean down south? I don't want that. Like, so we had beautiful weather in Greece, in Turkey, beautiful sea, in the Maldives, stunning. So when we got to India and we saw Mumbai, and we were like, we've had the best oceans. We didn't trust what the oceans down south would be.
Yeah.
But you're saying that they are nice.
They're nice. The oceans, it really clears up.
Okay.
A couple hundreds of kilometers down from Mumbai. And then there's just like these paradise beaches, white sands, palm trees, coconuts,
Beautiful.
clear blue water.
And is that in Goa, or is that what region of India is that then?
This is like between Goa and Mumbai.
Okay.
Yeah, and the region between Mumbai and Goa was very nice to travel because there's no tourists there.
Mm-hmm.
It's very remote. There's only small villages, so we saw only local people crossing tiny villages. Really getting a good sense of the
Unique, very authentic sort of India.
very authentic. Yeah.
Because we were saying that yesterday, that the tourists, by an area being beautiful and authentic, it brings the tourists, and then by bringing the tourists, it ruins the authenticity.
Yeah.
And there's only like any place that's famous for its authenticity has a limited time span to actually see the authenticity before it's commercialized and the charm of the place is taken away.
Yeah.
So by being on the bike, by being off the beaten track, you got to see all the really authentic places that will probably remain untouched for the best part.
I hope, yeah.
Because no one, like, who's ending up in the places that you cycle to? No one.
No.
If you have a choice, you'll hopscotch around on an airplane,
maybe
take a train for the experience, but you're never going to be cycling these streets.
Yeah, that's a nice thing about traveling with a bicycle. You reach the most remote places. You can take the smallest trails. You know, you can reach places that no one visits. And for me, that's really nice.
What do you do for food as you're going? Because you're obviously burning. I know you're not racing, but you're burning a huge amount of calories. Number one, in the heat. Number two, cycling. Like, what are you doing for food? Are you tracking calories? Are you tracking your water? Is there any part of this is like a professional athlete?
No. I just listen to my senses. As I get hungry, I eat.
Fair enough.
It's as easy as that. Yeah.
So what are you doing for food as you're cycling along?
Like up until India, we cooked our own food. So we travel with a small multi-burner stove. You can put gasoline or propane or anything, and some small pots and pans. And we just bought ingredients at small stores, cooked our own food.
Like what? What sort of things are you cooking?
Yeah, anything like pastas, rice dishes, potatoes. Sometimes we made a fire, cooked on a fire, or put some like potatoes in aluminum foil in the fire.
Roasted potatoes.
Yeah. And like what's it called? Aubergine. Yeah.
Aubergine. Yeah.
Aubergine, like full aubergines in the fire. Just stir them around until they're completely black, and then slice them open, and then the inside is like fully juicy, so delicious. Yeah.
That's really that's really nice. Yeah, that's really nice. Excuse me. And so, how many times a day are you eating? Just whenever you're hungry.
Yeah.
Because you haven't a pick of fat on you.
No.
Did you have any fat leaving Netherlands?
No, I'm always skinny.
You've always been like that.
I can eat whatever I want. I don't.
A traditional ectomorph.
A what?
Ectomorph.
Ectomorph. I don't know this word.
Endo-ecto and mesomorphic is body types.
Yeah.
So ecto is tall and skinny.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Naturally, like.
I consider myself lucky because I love eating. You know, it's
so you can just put it away, no problems.
Eat whatever I want, as much as I want, and not a.
And what about injuries? Do you ever get injured?
Once, yeah, but not badly. I had one crash with my bicycle.
Okay. In India?
In Turkey.
Okay.
Yeah, we had just left Istanbul, cycled a week, and then I crashed on a downhill going really fast. There was some water running over the street in the corner, and there was a car approaching. Because of the car, I had to steer more sharp into the corner, and then my front wheel started sliding from the water, and then it was like sliding, drifting, trying to get back the control, but I didn't manage, and then it just crashed.
Bad?
It was quite bad, yeah. But I got really lucky.
In what way?
Like no physical damage, basically. Like just some bruises and scratches, but that's it. I was wearing my helmet, luckily. I wear it nearly all the time. That really saved my head, I think. And yeah.
So that was the closest you've come to dying so far?
I guess, yeah. Yeah.
And like sore muscles, tension in your feet or anything?
In the beginning of the travel, yeah.
But now, no problems?
Like I feel it if I cycle, like a day that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, coming up from Siliguri to Darjeeling.
Yeah.
You were sore the day after or that night?
No, the next days, like then I feel my muscles, but it's not like in the beginning. In the beginning, we were untrained. We left untrained. We didn't do any training.
Your
prior.
body just has to catch up to the fact that, okay, this is the new normal now.
Yeah. Yeah, we decided we're just going to start slowly and get fit along the way, you know? And it worked out pretty well.
And so how do you decide how long you're going to stay in an area for?
Like, usually we spend only one night in one place. We sleep at different places every night. Only if we reach a place that we really like and that we feel like we want to spend some more time here, explore some regional things or get a deeper connection with some people, or if we really need some rest, then we stay for a couple days or a week.
So how many times do you reckon you've stayed in the same place for more than 1 or 2 nights?
Maybe by now, maybe, I don't know, 20 times. Or
Okay,
something.
there's a good few places so that catches your attention to stay a bit longer for.
Yeah, yeah. First place was in Bosnia, where we tried to help NGO that helps refugees.
So is that from, like, which refugees are these now?
These are mainly, I think mainly Afghanistan, Pakistan refugees. Yeah.
Because when was the war in Bosnia?
In 1990, 92.
Yes. Okay.
When we were born. Yeah.
So is there still remnants of that in Bosnia when you're traveling through it? Can you still see the effects of that war?
Yeah. You see it on the houses. There's many houses with gunshots.
Wow.
Yeah, the walls are just like perforated with bullets. That's what you see, and it's still very alive in the people there. Yeah.
They open up and they tell you their experiences because it's only 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 30 years ago. 30 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me, a remarkable thing to notice when traveling there in the Balkan region was that although the war is over already for 30 years, the tension is still there, you know? Exactly the same tension between the same groups. And apparently many people still have guns at house.
Stashed away.
Most of the houses, they have some guns somewhere. And we met some people, they said, there is a good chance that any moment there's a new civil war that's, or not civil anymore because it's now different countries. But
it's frightening to live in under those conditions. Just the uncertainty about what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah. It's again like something so far from my bed.
So what was your normal life before you set out on this journey?
Well, I studied in the Netherlands, in Delft. Finished my studies in 2016.
What did you study?
Industrial design engineering. And then I started working for a small design agency in Rotterdam. I had worked there for 3.5 years. So that was my life, like living in Rotterdam, working 5 days a week in the beginning, later like 4 days a week.
Did you enjoy it?
I loved it, yeah. It was a great job, yeah. It was really nice people, small crew. In the beginning we were 4, in the end with 6. And we did many diverse projects on the field of architecture, product design, interior design, some interactive installations.
What's an interactive installation?
For example, if you go to a museum, you have sometimes an installation that's trying to teach you something.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So it is what it sounds like.
Yeah, but it can also be in light or in sound. So we made, for example, one time a wall with many lights, and if you walk by it, the lights sort of follow your movements with sensors, sort of clever, electronical.
Well, because like the Dutch are advanced in their engineering.
Yeah.
There are a lot of forward-thinking innovation that's taking place there.
Yeah.
So did the company you were working for, did they specialize in any particular area, or was it just sort of contract for design, whatever design would be?
Yeah, we had no focus actually. We just did like many different things. We invented the wheel in nearly every new project that we did.
Nice.
It was very nice.
What was your favorite project?
Favorite project was my first big project that I had the lead over.
It's always the first one, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, it was very nice. It was the first time that I got the responsibility of managing the entire project.
And what was the project?
The question was to design an interior for another graphic design company.
Mm-hmm.
They were expanding. They had a really nice big space, very high ceiling, and they wanted to connect the ground floor with the first floor some way, and then they wanted a sort of jungle vibe there and a multifunctional area for meetings, also parties, just workplaces, like cooking, also the kitchen, lunch places. Yeah, so we designed, I think, a very nice sort of jungle-like thing with a lot of wood constructions, with a sort of tree house things, elements, a sort of woven net above the ceiling or above the ground where you can lay in.
I can literally envision it. Like, only in the Netherlands would you see a building like that. Were you part of any like mad projects? Any new, I don't know, very unusual designs?
Mad projects. We did some projects for the municipality, also Rotterdam. We had to design a temporarily new function for a sort of traffic jam where they wanted to get rid of the cars and give it back to the pedestrians. And we designed like sort of islands, huge islands from wood with sitting places and plants and these really organic shapes, all in bright yellow. That was a nice project. It was very big, but like kilometers and kilometers of wood that we ordered, and we worked all together as a machine, to transform this wood into these objects, and that was nice.
Do you have to do the manufacturing as well, or just the design, and somebody else takes
manufacturing
up
also
the whole thing? So you put together these shapes.
Yeah, that was a nice thing about the job. It was a really good balance for me between being creative, using my mind, my head, but also being in the workshop. We had a workshop focusing mainly on wood. So just getting your hands dirty, sawing wood, screwing, drilling, building the things ourselves.
Bringing it to life as well. There's something very nice about that. Watching it go from the blueprints to reality is...
Exactly.
It's nice.
That's what I love about my job, yeah.
But it sounds like you really enjoyed your job and your life in Rotterdam. Why did you then just set off on a bike to the opposite side of the world?
That's a long story. Where to start with that story? The past couple of years before I left on this journey, I went through a quite challenging period of my life. A period of a lot of change, like a transition from being sort of the old me to a new me, and that came with a lot of uncertainty about myself, about my life, a lot of introspect, a lot of reflecting on, okay, what am I doing? Is this really what I want to do? Because I sort of rolled into that job, and up until that moment, that was how my life was. I rolled into everything, and I never took the time to really look inwards and try to discover what I really want to do, from intrinsic motivation. So it was a period of a lot of introspect, reflecting, and that made me realize that I wasn't exactly where I wanted to be, and I wasn't going where I wanted to be, and I was losing my enthusiasm for the job. I was losing my inspiration, my drive, every day was starting to feel the same. Became into a sort of day-to-day, how do you call it? Every day the same.
Monotonous.
I guess,
Monotony.
yeah. And at a certain point, I decided something has to change, because it was really affecting my well-being. I was not happy anymore. I was not enjoying life anymore as I was used to. Like, it felt like my flame was dying, you know, like my soul was falling asleep or something, and I needed to be shaken up and getting this sort of life energy back.
And I imagine there's probably a lot of people listening that recognize what you're describing. Now, you had quite a creative job. You had a job that had a creative outlet and had a lot of variety in it. But even at that, you were still feeling that, not rat race, but the dissatisfaction with what you were doing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that I know anyway struggle with that in their day-to-day jobs. So how did you make the first change? Or how bad did it get before you said, right, I'm not doing this anymore?
I can say it got quite bad, yeah. I got to a point where I was feeling very down, I was feeling depressed, I was not liking myself anymore, I was not liking my life anymore. I was not enjoying the things anymore that were my passions, you know, like things I mentioned earlier, like windsurfing, playing the drums, riding my mountain bike. Those things, I was still doing them, but they didn't touch me anymore. So I felt very disconnected to myself and everything, and like I lost myself. I was losing myself. I didn't know who I was anymore, really. And at a certain point, I realized, okay, I need to change something, because also in my work, it was really affecting my work. You know, I was losing my confidence. I was not productive anymore. I was not creative anymore. I couldn't have any creative output anymore. I was really struggling. I was so low in energy. Every day was a struggle to work, basically, and it cost me so much energy.
So what was the first thing you changed?
I quit my job. Yeah.
Because that's a monumental one. That's a big upheaval.
Yeah.
And what did you do then for income?
Well, I had some money on the bank, and I could get some money from the government, because I got sort of fired. I arranged this in a way that they sort of fired me in a mutual agreement. And that way I could get some
government support.
Yeah, exactly. And then I decided to give myself 3 months in the summer, just doing nothing, you know, wanting nothing, only doing things I felt like doing.
And did you stay in Rotterdam for that 3 months?
No, I went to Italy, did a hiking trip for 10 days with friends. That was really nice. I went to France to help some via friends that are building or restoring this old farm they bought. I went to Berlin for a festival, you know, just enjoying life again, without any responsibility or work or whatsoever.
And did you feel that part of yourself being reignited?
Yes, slowly, and I also, in that moment, I also did a ayahuasca ceremony.
Very good.
It was a type of ayahuasca. It was like actual ayahuasca is 2 substances.
Yeah.
It's kapi and DMT.
Yeah.
But in the Netherlands, DMT was illegalized recently. So now they do kapi with truffles.
Okay. So you did it in the Netherlands. You did the experience.
Yeah.
And was it with a group, an ayahuasca group, or just a friends
group?
Okay.
Yeah.
An organized thing with with a shaman and.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how was your experience?
So interesting. Yeah.
So did you do it with the DMT or with the truffles?
Truffles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The DMT is still on my list.
Have you ever done DMT?
No. You have? Yeah, I'm really curious.
Oh yeah, it's certainly on its own
Yeah.
pedestal. There's nothing even comes close to it.
Yeah. I keep meeting people like you, and then they inspire me, and then they trigger my curiosity, and I really want to.
Yeah, the God drug. It's something else.
Yeah.
It really, really is something else.
Yeah.
And the ayahuasca trip that you had then, because you're doing it with the truffles, was it more of a truffle trip, or was it a different experience?
It was more of a truffle trip, but because it was in this very ritual like ceremony with many people together, and were like 8 people guiding, I think 20 people participating, with music and dancing and yoga, and the whole thing made it really different than just a truffle trip that you do with friends or on a festival or at home. Or yeah.
And were there people purging?
Yes.
So that still happens when you don't have the DMT. Yeah, 'cause it's the ayahuasca that makes you purge. So
Yeah, like how I learned is that the kapi is the substance that causes this sort of internal journey that makes you really go really deep into yourself and makes you see things and realize things about yourself, and then usually they use DMT to brighten up this journey. DMT can help you visualize things and bring it more alive, you know? And that's also what the truffles did in this case.
okay,
So the truffles were to
liven it.
enliven it, and the kapi is to...
Because one ayahuasca group that I was part of was it wasn't an enjoyable experience. They leaned very heavily on the almost neurotic element of DMT, that like the purging, you're vomiting, your body's responding to like a poison, and like people had very strong emotional reactions on top of it all.
Yeah.
And when you're all together in this big group and it's very bizarre, it doesn't feel positive.
For me, it was also... I had some really, really dark, deep experiences that I wouldn't consider positive in that moment. No.
You see, then at a separate time then, so there's the 5-MeO DMT, which is the frog venom, and then you've got the ayahuasca, which is the root, the plant. The 5-MeO, different ball game again. So that's top tier. The 5-MeO DMT is... you can't even begin to verbalize it.
Yeah.
But that experience was just truly, 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 truly profound and positive. Just this overwhelming sense of appreciation for life, for existence, for nature, for the whole lot of it. It was just this magnificent moment of
wow. Yeah.
And when you compare it to the ayahuasca experience in this controlled ritual with Shab people, now the woman who ran this one I didn't like her at all. She was a bad individual. One of these do-gooders that thinks she's better than God.
Okay.
Not a nice character. And so that was the first experience, was in this not so positive environment. And then when you saw what it could have been, you go, wow, she's really like, that's really not what it's about.
Yeah.
And the juxtaposition between the same substance but in different formats and in different environment was
the
just...
setting is so important.
Setting is just so crucial. So crucial.
Yeah. Yeah, because you get so sensitive for energies, vibes.
Yeah.
And if people are...
If you've got 30 people that are all negative, you feel it, man. It touches your soul. The whole place is horrible.
Yeah.
It's like you're at a funeral. It's really not enjoyable. And then on top of it, you got people getting sick left and right, filling plastic bags. And then you've got people reliving like horrific traumas in their life, and it all comes to the surface, and they're going through it all over again. And I understand that's part of it, but it takes a toll on you, dude. It takes a toll on you. Yeah. And then, as I said, the separate experience was just the most, the best. the best 20 minutes of my entire life. Just
Yeah.
something else. Something else.
Yeah, I want to try it also.
It's coming slowly, slowly, slowly. People, the global, and it's coming through the scientific world predominantly, but slowly the shrooms have been legalized, the cannabis has been legalized, MDMA has been legalized in therapeutic session, ketamine's been trialed for, again, I think therapeutic sessions. And then you've got the other side of it, where you've actually got the harm reduction strategy, which is Portugal, Sweden had a very bad heroin problem. Amsterdam as well. That was part of their thing, was harm reduction by legalizing. Is there safe injection sites in the Netherlands for heroin?
Safe injection sites, you mean where
Where people can go and take their heroin under a clinical setting?
I'm not sure, but I'm guessing yes, because I think Netherlands is a very open liberal country where we do. There's a big chance that it's also.
It might be, and then so British Columbia, as of 2 weeks ago or a week ago, have also just legalized all the hard Class A's for. I can't remember the time span that they're going to be experimenting with it, but in order to see how it affects crime, how it affects drug users, people are beginning to come around to the fact that you can't just ban drugs and think they're going to go away.
Yeah.
So the war on drugs has been failing for pretty much since its inception.
Yeah.
And slowly people are beginning to wake up into it. And then on the back of it all, then you do have, when you do experiment with these substances yourself, how is this illegal?
Yeah.
How is this illegal?
Exactly.
It's so bizarre.
Yeah. It shouldn't be called drugs, some of them.
That's a tactic. That use of drugs and the negative connotation that comes with it. So we just had cups of coffee before this. That's drugs. Technically, it's a mind-altering substance, but it's not. It's called caffeine.
Yeah. What do you think about alcohol? Yeah.
Same thing. Same principle.
Poison.
Absolute poison.
It's so accepted.
And it's commonly recognized as creating huge amounts of social harm.
Yeah.
Huge amounts of crime.
Yeah.
Public health issues. The whole shebang.
Yeah, and then stuff like acid, mushrooms, DMT.
They call drugs and they ban
drugs,
it.
dangerous.
And they put you in prison for it.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
I agree with you fully.
And it's a crime itself, the fact that now with all the evidence that is out supporting the use of these substances, the fact that it's still illegal is just...
Yeah. Yeah, I believe the world would be a better place if everyone would be experienced with some LSD or truffles, some psychoactive.
It's one thing that I always felt is that everyone should do DMT, but not everyone will be able to handle it. Because it will rip a part of you out that you soberly would cling on to desperately.
Yeah.
Even when you're drunk, even when you're smoking weed or whatever, there's still a part of your ego of how you want to present yourself that you try and wrestle with.
Yeah.
But something like DMT just reaches into your soul and just rips you out of it in a way that is uncontrollable. And I think it would shatter a lot of people.
Yeah, it happened to me, basically, but with acid. And this was one of the triggers that caused this transition phase of my life that I was talking about. I had one...
If you're comfortable, tell on. I'd be curious to hear this.
Yeah, I had some experience with psychedelics, but never acid on a high doses.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this one night I got together with one of my oldest friends. We knew each other since I was 4, and his brother. Really safe environment, and we went for higher doses.
Do you know what milligram?
200 plus. Maybe it was 200, maybe 250. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's a big dose.
It was big, yeah, and I wasn't prepared because I was I was expecting a fun night together, chatting, going on adventures. I don't know what, but positive together thing. And I didn't know that on higher doses, at a certain point, communication for some people just becomes impossible,
Yeah.
And I turned out to be one of those people, and they also. So at a certain point. It started really fun. We were dancing, having a good time, and then we got deeper, and communication became more difficult, and I was trying with all my sort of faculties to keep this social thing going on with the three of us. I wasn't, I couldn't accept that we were going into this sort of individual phase of the trip. So I was trying to keep a conversation going and forcing it, and it became very awkward. They didn't understand me anymore. They felt that it was weird, and I felt their reactions, how they reacted to me, and it affected me so much. I became so insecure and awkward. And awkwardness is a thing that I never really experienced that way, and especially not with my good friends, one of my best friends. And at a certain point, it just went down spiraling. I just lost it, man. For me, it felt like this friendship that was one of the most certain things in my life, was that this guy was one of my best friends. But in that moment, it felt like that friendship was just shattering to pieces and dying and would never be the same again. And together with that, I saw whole my life, basically, like all the relationships I have with people gone, not being able to have them anymore. Like I thought I would stay in that state where I couldn't connect with people anymore, and I was just losing my mind, and it was terrifying. So scary. Wow.
Because once you're strapped in, there's no getting off the ride.
No.
You're locked in for the next 12 hours.
You have to sit it out, yeah.
So did you have a total breakdown?
At that moment? What do you mean with a total breakdown?
Just uncontrolled sobbing for the best part.
At a certain point, I was just like lying down on the couch, just being frightened. And my friends tried to take care of me, but I didn't trust them anymore. I didn't feel right with them anymore. It was just, I didn't trust anything anymore. Yeah.
And then as you were coming out of it, did a sense of normality begin to come back in? Or was that feeling of everything you've known being shattered, did that remain with you as you began to sober?
Like I began to sober, so I got sort of back to being in control, but it felt like something changed, It felt like the foundation that I based my sort of whole identity upon was taken away.
So that's what they call ego death.
I guess, yeah.
And even when sober, then the fact that it had shattered meant that what you knew before, you couldn't just reinstate into your life. Something had to change. It was a fundamental altering of your perspective of yourself.
Exactly, yeah. Because later on, like, this resulted in a period of months where I was feeling so insecure about myself, so awkward in social situations, and I didn't recognize myself anymore because I had never had any trouble with social situations, and actually I was always playing with awkwardness with other people. I was sort of I was sort of teasing people when I felt that they started feeling awkward and sort of pushing them,
Yeah.
Because I thought it was fun.
And then the acid came along and just...
Yeah, and later on, like months later, I started understanding things. Like it felt like puzzle pieces started to fall, to come together, and I started to understand what happened that night, and what happened. I think now is that, like all my life when I was younger, I taught myself to be a version of myself that I want to be,
Jung's ego. No, what's it? Sorry, continue.
Yeah, and there was a version of myself, like typical man from society, like no doubts, no insecurities, no emotions like crying and stuff. Things like this. I wanted to be this version of myself that I really liked. And I think throughout the years I became pretty good at being this version, and even so good that I sort of fooled myself in believing that I didn't have any fears and insecurities, and that's how I saw myself. I saw myself as this guy that is never insecure and has no fears. But it's not true. Of course, I have insecurities and fears. Everyone has, but I believe that I didn't. And during this acid trip, those fears and insecurities that I locked behind doors, they came to the surface. And I couldn't accept that because I didn't see myself that way. And that for me was just like a existential crisis, just seeing myself all of a sudden in a way that I thought I wasn't, And
so how many months did it take for all of it to make sense again before you felt a version of yourself had enough material that you could confidently conduct who you want to be again?
Many months.
Okay.
Took maybe, like, you mean to get to a state again where I felt sort of okay again with the version of myself?
Yeah.
I'm still in that process. It's been 2 years ago or something.
Okay.
And
you see, that's my concern. When I want to encourage people to do psychedelics, even to smoke weed as like a starting point to show them that, there's something more to your mind than the persona you put forward. But I'm always conscious that an event like that can take place in someone's psychic, and they won't be able to come back from it.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it happen to people where they just haven't been able. Something has taken place that's such a monumental shift in their perspective that they just can't reconcile with it afterwards. And I have one friend who's got full psychosis, and I have another friend who went through a period of psychosis who through incredible strength and perseverance and humility and and introspection has put himself back together and is more put together now than he would have been before.
Yeah.
But I'd never want to be the source of somebody else's shattering.
Yeah.
And so while I really do feel there's so much value to be found in mind-altering substances, I'm always cautious.
You have to be cautious.
You have to be cautious because you just don't know how they're going to take it.
Yeah.
So you obviously had quite a strong personality before, and that strength of your character got you through that period.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantee that you take another person, you gave them the same dose as you, that they'll eventually be able to hold a conversation like this, to be able to get on a bike and cycle across the world.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that they will. So you've done extraordinarily well to be where you are now.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Many people say so that I tell my story. Yeah.
Are you able to summarize what did you learn from before to now?
Like, I learned who I truly am.
Who is that?
That's a person that's still the same person as before, the confident person that...
2 seconds, the battery just died.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro. Sorry, I interrupted you.
So
who is that?
I was saying that's still the same person as I was before, like the version of myself that I like the most, like the confident version of myself without fears and insecurities. But it's also the version of myself that I was neglecting, like the sensitive guy that has insecurities, that has fears, that doesn't always know what to do or what I want, or so I think, like, I see it in a way that I became a more whole version of myself throughout this experience.
And so what's different about that person? There's that knowledge, but how did you integrate that knowledge into the new you?
Like, what's different is that I now dare to show my vulnerabilities, and I never dared to do that before.
Okay.
I never dared to show my vulnerabilities. I only dared to show this version of myself that I wanted other people to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I think throughout my childhood, I made huge blockages within myself. For example, when it comes to crying, I always refused to cry, when I was a small boy.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt sadness coming. I was always fighting the tears because it didn't fit this image of myself that I wanted to be. And I trained myself for years and years not to cry, and that resulted in a blockage for me within myself that it's still there now. And like now, if I get sad, I still don't manage to cry. There's still this blockage. And although now I became aware of it, and I try to look for it now, I try to look for the sadness within myself and try to let it out, but I just can't.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my goals that I want to reach to break this blockage. Yeah.
So I actually just finished putting together a video yesterday where I was looking at the concept of toxic masculinity, toxic femininity, and any overlap between the two ideas. But when I was going through what commonly gets thrown into the category of toxic masculinity, there was a whole bunch of it that was like, there's nothing inherently masculine about that. It's just bad behavior. It's just a rude person, or it's just this. But one of the ones that always resurfaces with toxic masculinity is that inability or the suppression of emotions. And one of the factors that I was considering when I was discussing it was that there's a time and place to suppress emotions, because there's no point going around being a blubbering mess at any little heartfelt moment, because that's not exactly a well put together human either.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to find where you draw the line. So like I used the example of the paramedic. If the paramedic comes across a car crash and turns into hysterics every time, it's a useless paramedic. But the paramedic, and this is why there's mandatory therapy sessions for high pressure jobs, there is a point where you have to bring up that incident and talk yourself through the emotion, whether it's by yourself, with a partner, with a therapist. And I'd be quite like you, where I don't cry often. And I have really tried to focus on so I'll have triggers. So this is what I tried to do in order to bring on the experience of crying, was watching things that I knew struck a chord with me. So for me, it's people doing heroic actions. Makes me emotional.
Yeah.
Or poignant moments between a parent and a child.
This I can relate to that, like especially father-son.
Yes, especially father-son.
In
especially,
movies.
Yeah, exactly. And so I try. So whenever I feel I need to cry, I'll watch these videos, or I'll. So it actually got me today. Actually, so this is when the universe comes together so beautifully. So one of the places I process a lot of emotions is in the gym. So I train pretty much every day, and there'll be a time when, so I love electronic dance music, and a lot of it is quite euphoric. A lot of trance music is quite euphoric. And so there'll be a time when the caffeine will have landed, there'll be a perfect song on, the endorphins will be high from the gym session, and I'll just get this flood of emotion, which it'll catch the back of the throat.
Yeah.
And I'll do my best to sit with it. Now I won't say in the gym, but I'll sit with it. I'll sit with the thoughts, I'll sit with the emotion, and I'll find the source of it. And so what caught me today was, so I said to you there was that emergency with the NGO. So what so what it was more or less, so a parent, so the children are obviously separate from the parents in a lot of this case. So the foundation does its best to keep relationship between parent and child going. So the parent hasn't seen the kid in weeks or months even at this stage, regularly sit down, and what happened was, anyway, the parent came, abused the child, stole its money, and left it in a hotel room.
Wow.
And just fecked off. And the child had to contact the NGO to be like, look, this is what just happened. And it was like the thought of what that child was feeling in that hotel room, of just sheer and utter abandonment and dejection. It just hit really, really, really powerfully.
Yeah.
And I can still even feel it now, but where I've sort of recognized it is that I can't generate tears. But when there's an emotion or when there's a situation that does generate the emotion that would generate tears, I sit with the emotion.
Yeah.
And I know that what I hope will do is that if I ever have kids, I'll be able to feel the emotion enough to connect with the kid on a deeper level and have a strong bond with a child. And I think that's where suppression of emotion becomes very problematic. If you suppress them around people that need to see the emotion in order to generate that connection,
Yeah.
I think you're in trouble. So I get what you mean, that there's still that blockage there. But if you can still feel those emotions,
Yeah.
I think that's 50%.
Yeah, definitely. But I relate to what you say. Like I had the same experience in my relationship, my past relationship. You know, we had some crisis moments, and I was feeling deeply, deeply sad. You know, because it felt like we were breaking up, and at those moments, for me, it's really hard to show to my partner that, you know, like what I'm going through, what I'm feeling, because I don't show it on my on the outside. I don't cry. I don't show the sadness.
Mm-hmm.
So that results in my partner thinking that I don't care or I don't care enough, or and that's problematic. I think.
It is problematic. I actually had that with my wife last night. We were discussing our futures. And again, it's like my inability to generate that emotion is a problem for her. Now, she knows I have problems with my emotions. And like I like therapy. I like going to therapy. And like I would have done therapy just before we got married. And I've been to therapists before. So she knows it's an ongoing problem for me. But even though she knows it's a problem for me, it's still...
Yeah.
It still just doesn't sit with her. She just still longs to see the emotion. So I can describe it. It's like, I would be sad, or I feel sad.
Yeah.
But when you don't get the visceral reaction.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I started feeling in a way that I had to find a way to sort of prove what the whole thing meant to me, you know? And then it was like, how
do you do that?
How do you do that? How do you prove to someone that you truly care about someone? Yeah. But yeah.
Where did you think that blockage came from? What was the source of the emotion suppression?
Well, I watched a documentary that showed me how this happened, I think, for me, because I could really relate to this documentary, and what they explained is that it starts at a really young age, already in when you're like a toddler. You get through media like movies, child books. You're being taught these constructs of like male, female role types, you know, and as a child you want to be like a man. You want to become a man when you're a boy. At least I wanted to. And media, movies, and books they teach you this role model of a man with these characteristics, like what I said already earlier, like no doubts, no insecurities, not crying, always like steady. You know, that's what you're being taught as a child from young on, and it goes on until forever, because you keep on watching movies, and it's always in movies and books, it's always these role models that are being shown, and they teach you.
Is it as simple as that we just, as our sponge minds develop, we just take in those images? I don't know. I've struggled with this one as well, because maybe it is as simple as that, but I think of certain you do see male movie characters crying at different stages. Like I think of Lord of the Rings, like at the end in the third Lord of the Rings movie, Samwise cries when Frodo runs away from him up the mountain, and he cries at the end when Frodo leaves on the boat. I think what I'm wondering is it a more biological mechanism whereby we feel compelled not to show weakness, not because the pressure's been put on us, but because we actually believe in it in our soul, that it is actually part of our makeup. Because we're going through a phase now where society is saying it is a social construct, and that, you know, we tell our kids, boys don't cry, man up, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, we certainly do, and that certainly has impacts. But it's not a secret that men don't cry.
Mm.
They don't talk about the fact that they cry. A lot of men cry in secret. So if some men do cry, and it is commonly known that men do cry, why do we still think we have blockages? Are you following what I'm saying?
Kind of, I think, yeah.
Is it as simple as a learned behavior? Is what my question is, I suppose.
Yeah.
Do you believe it's as simple that we learn not to cry?
I do believe, yeah. But it's mainly because of this documentary.
But before the documentary, did you have an opinion on it?
No, because I wasn't aware of it then.
So before that documentary, not crying wasn't a problem?
No, I didn't see it as a problem. No.
Okay, so if it wasn't a problem before,
Yeah.
and a documentary made you aware that you don't cry, therefore it might be a problem,
Yeah.
then did the documentary tell you that it's a problem, therefore it became a problem?
No, I think it was already a problem, but I wasn't aware of that it was a problem because I didn't see it. You know.
Okay.
Like, I think it was affecting me a lot, but subconsciously, you know. And I think with many aspects of myself that like of the older version of myself, many aspects that I was suppressing.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did come up every now and then in situations.
So you can recognize where they were coming up after the fact.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's also to come back to a question you asked previously, like how I see myself like changed
Mm-hmm.
before and after that acid trip.
Mm-hmm.
Another way to describe it is that that this experience, it made my consciousness grow.
Mm-hmm.
It expanded my consciousness. So like when I look back to my old self, I was a really steady guy. I was having a good life, enjoying life a lot, but I wasn't really aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was just normal, you know. Everything was okay. It's good, standard, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like pretty much flat.
Mm-hmm.
Like good but flat.
Yep, I understand.
And then afterwards, I felt like my consciousness grew, and it made me see things and understand things that I never saw before, and it made me appreciate the things that I have, where they were always sort of normal to me, and I didn't really care. It was just like standard. And afterwards, they became meaningful.
Now, you mean as in like blessings and a good quality of life that you had, you appreciate more now than you did before?
I appreciate way more.
And like friends and stuff, good connections with people,
Exactly.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like when I look back to my old self, I consider myself to be quite happy overall,
Mm-hmm.
but quite flat and superficial
Okay.
in a way.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I'm going way more up and down. I'm not always feeling good. I have my dips.
And what do you do during the dips?
I try to take time for myself. Yeah, I try to separate myself from my surroundings. People especially, try to spend time with myself and connect with myself again.
And is there any practices or things you do that...
Yeah, I started to meditate also
Mm-hmm.
a couple of years ago. Started to do yoga, so like activities that help me to get a better relationship with myself, to improve my sort of self-care, self-love.
And you find they work?
Yes, definitely, yeah.
Do you ever induce crying?
Like, what do you mean? Like,
To bring it
try?
on?
Yeah, I try, but sometimes, for me, what happens as soon as the emotion comes up, the sadness that would make me cry.
Mm-hmm.
When it happens now, I'm like, oh, maybe I can cry now, you know. And then I'm like, oh, let's try, and I try to sort of push it, but then you're already thinking again. You're already
moved past it almost.
Yeah, you're not in your body anymore where your emotions are, but you're in your head again thinking about the situation, and then you block the emotion. I think that's what happens.
Yeah, because I have on different occasions felt like something. So I moved out of a city where I'd been living for 6 years, and I really liked my life there. And I loved my apartment, I loved the friends, and I loved the people I was around, and the job I was doing I loved. And so I knew I was sad about that shift, that move. So I was like, I'm going to try, and because I knew like it's those sort of it's those sort of fundamental changes that would generate stress in your mind that gets relieved through a process like crying. So I was like, right, I'm going to actually organize time to try and make myself sad, to try and cry about the situation and see if I can come to terms with it a bit better.
Did it work?
I think I probably squeezed out about 2 tears. But there was sort of a cathartic effect that took place after I had made the attempt to go cry, and I had felt sad about it for a little while. And there was like an element of closure where it was like, okay, it wasn't like it floods of tears, and I can still feel I was sad about the fact that part of my life was finished. But I am sort of okay with it now. There is sort of an acceptance that came after I tried to wallow in the moment, I suppose you could say. Because that is what crying is about. It's the release of emotions. It's a harmless way of your body venting, rather than being I'm not sad, and then 3 weeks later, flipping coffee table gets a fist to it because something small went your way. Because I have a problem with anger. So that's where I've said before. So is crying really an issue or not? That was a stupid thing to say. Yes, it is. Not dealing with your emotions is an issue because they resurface elsewhere. When you bottle them, you put them on a shelf, and sooner or later they're going to explode. And I have an issue with anger. So it's always inanimate objects that get the brunt of my anger. But it's something small, just won't go my way, and I'll and I just rage.
Oh, crazy, yeah.
And when you stop and think about it, you're like, okay, I think I know where that comes from. But it comes from somewhere deep. And there's a deep storage, there's a reservoir of emotion that's untapped, that just every once in a while, like a hot spring in Norway, just And that's why it is important to deal with emotions. One thing that cannabis is really good for is cannabis allows for a gentle, altered state of mind. And that's why things like MDMA and ketamine are used in therapeutic settings, because it's just enough to unhinge the unconscious cap on the reservoirs and allow you to talk more freely, or allow you to actually feel the emotion genuinely in your soul. And cannabis can be quite therapeutic for that. Cannabis with a good song can help process the thoughts of the day.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And it's a shame that we don't have many substances we can use just to open a little bit more freer to our minds. Because when you've got alcohol, it's pretty much the only substance. Alcohol makes you more sad. And when alcohol releases emotion, you get fighting in the street, or you get violence to a partner, or you get some usually bad expression of the emotion that had been repressed. And that's why people say drunk minds speak sober thoughts. That the parts of you that you have been locked up, when they come out when you're drunk, they're not just coming out, they're getting combined with alcohol, and it's a bad release of an emotion.
And alcohol sort of blurs your
moral compass, or
your mind and your what's the word? Your consciousness, basically. Like it puts this blurry layer over your consciousness for me. And that's what I like about psychedelics. They make me clear, you know. They make my consciousness crystal clear, and I can analyze situations and myself, and I can really understand them. I feel like they enhance my sort of brain capacity, where alcohol decreases my brain capacity.
Yeah, that's a good observation as well. We'll jump back on the bike story, just to wrap that up, because that's a nice way of bringing the whole thing to a conclusion.
Yeah.
So, in Darjeeling, from here you'll go to where?
From here I'll go to Sikkim, which is north from here. I do like a loop through Sikkim, and then I continue eastwards to Imphal, which is far east, northeast of India. I cross the Meghalaya state, which is just above Bangladesh, and it's apparently really nice. Yeah. And then from Imphal, I take a flight to Singapore, where I meet up again with my friend, Malta, and then we cycle together through Indonesia to Bali to finish there.
Wow.
Together our journey. And then it's been 14 months. Wow. Time to go home. Yeah.
Wow. 14 months. That's incredible. It's an incredible journey, man.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah.
Very unique. And so, you aim to be in Indonesia. Have you a time frame?
Yeah, we want to reach Bali mid-April, and then take another like 2, 3, 4 weeks to relax.
And then you'll go back to Netherlands?
Yeah. Back to my parents first. My parents, my sister, my niece, cousin actually. No,
Okay.
it's niece. Yeah, I think.
The
daughter of my sister.
Niece, yeah.
Niece, yeah. And she will be having a second.
Oh wow.
In May. So I'm really enthusiastic to go back and see them, spend time with them, like quality time.
It'll be so strange to be back, dude. It'll be so strange.
Yeah.
There'll be a big part of you that'll be really sad. It'll be nice to go back and have like proper running water and toilets and showers and.
I don't care about that. Like
I care. I miss it so much.
Yeah. No, the luxury I don't care about. I'm really happy with my tent and just like the primitive lifestyle.
Nah.
That's not what. That's not
I'm
what
a
I
posh.
miss.
I'm a posh boy. I want my luxuries. I want my hot water. I want my clean toilets.
Yeah, hot shower.
my
every
good
now and then
food.
is nice. Yeah.
I want my good food. My food doesn't blow my guts out.
Yeah.
How do you think have you thought about what it's going to be like going back? The adjustment period, what you're going to do?
I made a plan. Like for the first time in my life, I made a sort of longer term plan. Like I said before, I used to be always just go with the flow. Never really made a plan, and I was always scared of thinking about the future. It always worried me, the future. It's like as soon as I started thinking of the future, I was like, no, let's just stay here and here. You know.
I hear you. Yeah.
But I made a plan. I will go back and first spend time with my parents, my sister, my family. I don't know how long, a couple of weeks, maybe months. Then go back to Rotterdam, can stay with some friends there because I don't have a house anymore. I gave up everything for this journey. And then I want to take the remaining of 2023 to rebuild the basis of my life, my new life.
And what will that look like? What do you consider a basis?
Like a place to live. And I want to work as a freelancer doing the same type of work that I did for the company. Get some money on the bank again, get some financial stability. Basically that. A place to live, financial stability, and seeing all my friends again, spending quality time with my loved ones in my life. And then 2024, I want to challenge myself to focus on music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Because I've been playing the drums since I was 8.
Yeah.
Music has always been very important to me. I consider myself a very musical person. But music has always been something on the side, you know? Like, in the center of my life was work, friends, having fun. And then there was music as a sort of hobby. But I realized more and more that deep down inside, I believe music might be the most important thing for me in life. One of the most important things. More important than designing and creating things. Because
music is a form of creation, though, and a form of design.
Yeah,
it's the same energy, just a different output.
Yeah, but I noticed that I'm looking for a way to sort of translate my soul the most direct way in a creative output, which can be in designing things. but most of the time you do that for someone, for a company or
somebody else's
client.
Heart. Yeah.
And I feel with music, for me, it's the most pure way to translate my soul into some output. Yeah.
Oh.
And so that's what I want to do. I want to keep working as a freelancer, but I want to see like my work more as a tool to enable.
A means to an end, yeah.
Yeah, means to an end to enable my lifestyle, and create hopefully as much time as possible to spend with music.
And even all these other places you visited, there's nowhere you'd rather live other than Netherlands.
There's definitely places I would see myself living, because I love the mountains. I'm really a mountain person. They make me happy. They ground me. They make me connect to myself, and they enable a lot of things that I like hiking, mountain biking, snowboarding, stuff like that. So a dream of mine is to live close to the mountains. So Tbilisi was an interesting one for me. It's a really nice city, good party scene.
What country is that in?
Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah. Really, really nice people, creative city with a really good vibe and close to the mountains. I could see myself living there, but my friends, my family, my music buddies, they drag me back to the Netherlands.
Okay.
Yeah. But maybe one day.
Keep in touch anyway, because I'd like to know I'd like to know what everything that's going on, and I'll definitely put it out on the channel and share it. But you've another project going on as well. You've the NGO in Uganda.
Yeah.
What was that? You were explaining that to me now yesterday. So just tell me again.
Yeah. We're not just cycling and having this journey for ourselves, but we wanted to give something back to some community, because we realize how privileged we are to be able to do this. We come from a good economy where we can easily save up money, and we have a good passport to travel so many countries. And we're we're part of a very tiny percentage of people in the world that can actually do this. So from realizing that privilege, we wanted to do something back, and we decided to cooperate with a Dutch NGO and raise money for them. And they sent the money to Uganda.
And what do they do? What's the NGO?
They aim to fight poverty in Uganda, and they do it in a way by collecting money based on donations and giving it directly to the people in Uganda in form of a basic income.
Okay.
And they have now one village as a pilot project, and everyone in that village gets a monthly sum of money. Everyone the same, and they don't have to sort of prove what they're gonna do with it or.
Okay. And how do you make sure it goes to the right people?
Yeah, that's the part of this NGO.
That's what they handle.
Yeah,
they make sure that it's
handle.
distributed to the right people.
Yeah.
And then what's the mindset behind it?
Like the mindset behind it is based on the trust in that the people themselves know the best what they need to improve their lives.
So now that they don't have to do things like farming in order to make the money, they have money coming in, now they can apply their time to other projects, to other important life tasks.
How they put it is that like people that live in really real poverty, they live day by day. They have every day they have one worry, that's surviving the day, and they have no headspace for any long-term future plans or investments or startups or and that's the aim of this NGO, to take away these
daily stresses, to allow them the headspace to focus on other things. Because that is actually like one of the main prerogatives for climate change action. And at the minute, this isn't what people are saying, this isn't what governments are focusing on, but it's what they should be. if you decrease world poverty and increase the collective wealth of everybody, you actually allow them the space to focus on issues like climate change. Because you don't care about the climate if you're trying to get enough food for 5 o'clock that day.
Yeah.
And so it's actually like the best way to bring people out of poverty is through capitalism. And capitalism is getting awful flack in the West for being the cause of climate change, but it's actually also the cure for it too. And it's business and innovation and these projects in poor countries where a lot of the consequences of climate change are felt. If you bring these people up out of poverty, it's one of the best ways of actually combating the climate issues and the pollution issues.
Yeah.
And it's the same in India and China as well. So like this one from close to home. Plastic straws. I'm going to tell this little anecdote. You know plastic straws. Well, no, you remember plastic straws. You're old enough to remember plastic straws.
Yeah.
Now we have the paper ones. I assume you have paper ones in Netherlands as well. Right. Well, I don't know how useful your paper ones are. Our ones are terrible. You can't put. I hate paper straws. Right. I hate paper straws. And the big push for paper straws came on that video, the sea turtle with the straw in its nose.
Yeah.
You're like, yep, very sad. Yeah. Fair enough. I understand people's emotional response to it.
Yeah.
But the 7 biggest polluting rivers are in countries that don't have a plastic straw ban.
Yeah.
So we all suffer here using our flipping paper straws to drink our Coke. And the rivers that are responsible for all the waste going into the sea are still flowing. And it's in these poor countries that the maximum amount of change can actually be put forward.
Yeah.
And so any grassroots projects that focuses on bringing people out of poverty and not just giving them food rations, because that's, again, you're not actually fixing the problem. You're keeping them alive.
Yeah.
But it's the anecdote of, or it's the adjective of, what's that word? Teach a man to fish. It's that principle. Give him a fish versus teach him to fish.
Yeah.
And what that NGO, what's the name of the NGO?
Inclusion Worldwide.
Inclusion Worldwide. And I assume they've got Instagram?
They have Instagram, yeah. We have our own Instagram. Also.
Shout it out. What's the name?
BikingForBetter.
Nice.
BikingForBetter, everyone, Instagram. And via our page in the link, there's links in the bio, and they bring you to a donation page. And there you can, if you want, you can give a donation.
Donate, you pricks! Donate! Excellent.
Thanks.
BikingForBetter. That's a lovely way of putting it.
BikingForBetter, yeah.
Yeah, super.
Yeah.
Olmo?
Tim?
Did I say that right? Yes. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, dude. I really appreciate you giving me your afternoon. You've lost an afternoon of exploring Darjeeling, but we've had a fantastic conversation. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, so thank you very, very much.
Yeah, likewise. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Thanks for the invitation. I feel honored to be here.
Yeah, pleasure.